Good morning, everyone. This morning, we are going to provide a quick update on the storms that moved through on Friday and the lasting damage that they have caused. We're going to provide some great historic economic news, and we are going to launch an economic development initiative to help our existing businesses connect with other Kentucky businesses, and something we believe is going to significantly help supply chain issues and give Kentucky-based companies an advantage in being competitive nation and worldwide. So first, I know far too many Kentuckians and their communities have once again been affected by severe weather. Just yesterday, I visited McCracken County and specifically the town of Fremont to see some of the damage firsthand. What happened in Fremont was a miracle. An EF2 tornado landed, went basically down their main street a mile and a half. I stood in one woman's home. This is hers. You look at this, there's a pine cone lodged in one of the walls. Half the house is gone. The fact that she emerged without a scratch and her cat's okay, and even her mom's plants are okay, is nothing short of a miracle. No one got hurt in this town, despite the fact that this tornado damaged a lot of houses and hit half of the church head on. What I got to see was the best of humanity. People turning out to help people and families. They are already rapidly in cleanup mode with local officials working really hard. All our utility workers out there trying to get both power and telephone back up. I promise, like everything else we faced, we'll face this together, and we will be there for one another as we rebuild and repair. So here are just a few key updates this morning. 307 service connections are without water statewide. So that's 307 either homes or businesses. That's a very small number. We're now down to 5,598 service connections under a boiled water advisory. That's ranged from 8 to 10,000 in other updates, so it is getting better. 10 drinking water systems are under limited operation. These are primarily just due to power, not to damage. Sometimes it can be power at one of the pump stations, for instance, and that's where you need generators. Some of these pump stations are so old, it takes an electrician doing some work to connect the pump station or the treatment plants to those generators. The 10 drinking water systems that are impacted are Beattyville Water, Boonville Water, East Casey Water and Sewer, Edmonson County Water District, Hazard Water Department, Hindman Municipal Water, Science Hill Water, South Anderson Water, Southern Water and Sewer, and Western Pulaski County Water. When we look at declarations of emergency, one state declaration, 64 counties have declared, 26 written, 38 verbal. The written will come in, and 19 total cities. From seeing what we've seen, we believe that this will qualify for a federal disaster declaration on the public assistance side. Still waits to be seen whether it would qualify on the individual assistance side. And good news for those that are insured, insurance will cover a lot of the damage that's done in a windstorm or a tornado or other thunderstorms. As we sit here right now, still too many Kentuckians without power, 124,898. We believe that a lot of people will get power today. What happened was, the storms persisted with the high winds through Friday. Saturday in most locations was about safety. A whole lot of down lines, some of them still charged, a whole lot of poles that were down. So our utilities focused primarily on Saturday of making everything safe. We lost 5 Kentuckians. We didn't want to lose any more. So Saturday, Sunday, today, they are telling us are the days that they are doing the heavy lifting on getting communities and neighborhoods back online. I expect to see a lot of progress today. That's our storm update. In moving to economic and economic development news, I want to remind people that we do this because it helps our families. As governor, I'm laser focused on those concerns that Just about every family feels or is concerned about those questions that if you can't answer in the positive, you don't get to anything else. Questions or worries like, do I have a good job? One where I can provide security and opportunity for my kids? Can I afford to take my parents or my kids to a doctor when they're sick? Do I feel safe in my home and in my community? And are my kids getting the type of education that they deserve? To answer a number of those questions, we are working together all across Kentucky to not just leapfrog 10 other states' economies, but with the goal of being a top 10 state economy. What that does is bring in the type of jobs that provides that security, that ensures you can afford to take your kids and your parents to a doctor when they're sick, that can answer those basic core questions while also providing dignity and security to our people. We are coming off our best 2 years of economic development in Kentucky's history, with more new jobs announced and more private sector investment than at any point in our history. We're setting state revenue records every month, which has given us the room to provide a tax cut for our families. We will announce the 4 biggest budget surpluses in our history during my first term, and we have the largest rainy day fund in our history. And today, we have more good news when it comes to helping our families. Crystal, do I have the green light? All right. Just now at 10 a.m., we are able to announce that Kentucky has now set the lowest annual unemployment rate in state history. The year 2022 is now known as the lowest annual employment rate. Is the year 2022 will now be known as having the lowest annual unemployment rate in Kentucky's history. Our annual unemployment rate for 2022 was 3.9%, which is a new record for a full calendar year. And it dropped more than a half a point from 2021, 4.4% to 3.9%. At 3.9%, 2022 was the lowest unemployment rate seen since the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics began reporting state unemployment rates in 1976. This report is according to the Kentucky Center for Statistics and is another indication that Kentucky is becoming an economic powerhouse and that we're creating good paying jobs for our families. With the lowest unemployment rate in our state's history, we know more Kentuckians are chasing their dreams and providing for their family right here in Kentucky. And this new record follows a great last week. Last week we learned through Site Selection magazine that Kentucky ranked number 2 in per capita economic development last year, number 2 in the entire country. And we were number 1 in per capita economic development in our region. Also, the numbers showed what we've been saying, that these jobs aren't just coming to a couple of cities, but they are going all over Kentucky. So in those same rankings, we tied for 3rd nationally with 40 micropolitan projects, which means that a large portion of our projects went to rural parts of Kentucky. Since I've been governor, we've secured more than $24 billion in new investment, 43,000 new Kentucky jobs, along with some of the highest wages we have ever seen. We're home to the largest investment in the history of Ford Motor Company. And when you add that to Envision AESC's mega announcement, we are the electric vehicle battery production capital of the United States of America. We have the largest investment in the history of Amazon in northern Kentucky. We're building the world's cleanest, greenest recycled paper mill in Henderson. And it's not just about our largest investments. Our small businesses are growing too. We just received $117 million in federal awards to provide extra capital to those small businesses so that they know we will never forget them. And we're focused on bringing in the big ones, but also growing those family businesses, which we know are the first to hire and the last to fire and provide so many good jobs to our families. So we are rising to the top. It's exciting, but there is more work to be done. The last several years, we have seen the impact of supply chain issues and challenges on our businesses. This is requiring major changes to our economy, including reshoring and in many ways the movement of a just-in-time to a just-in-case supply chain. For Kentucky, addressing these changes head on is critical as we have a large manufacturing base. Kentucky is home to more than 5,000 manufacturing facilities that employ 250,000 Kentuckians. We rank among the leading manufacturing states with 12.5% of our workforce in this industry compared to 8.1% nationally. In 2022 alone, new location and expansion manufacturing projects accounted for $8.27 billion in new investments and 8,900 new full-time jobs for Kentuckians. So today, we're launching a new initiative called Supply Kentucky. Its goal is to provide more security in the supply chains of our Kentucky companies while also creating jobs and reducing costs. The initiative starts with the focus and commitment by the Cabinet for Economic Development to working with our Kentucky companies to either source their supply chain with existing Kentucky companies or to work together to bring those necessary suppliers to the state for the security of our employers. One of the first steps in this initiative is the launch of Connects Kentucky, a new online platform that provides a searchable supply chain database for manufacturers throughout the state. The Connex tool is a partnership with my office, the Cabinet for Economic Development, and the Kentucky Association of Manufacturers. On the site, Kentucky manufacturers can register for free to connect with 140,000 manufacturers locally and nationally. The portal is open today for our companies to register, and it will allow Kentucky companies to connect with other Kentucky companies because every supply chain source that a Kentucky company can connect with and satisfy with another Kentucky company builds security. It reduces transportation costs to get that feed and that need to the facility. It grows Kentucky jobs, and it allows for a more direct connection and relationship. We believe that this is the future, and it's from company after company saying we need our supply chain base as close as possible. And our response being, okay, let's bring some of them to Kentucky. But are you willing to look at other Kentucky companies that are here right now? And the answer has been absolutely. This is a tool where they're going to be able to get online and say, I need X or I need Y. We've been having challenges with it. Here are all the Kentucky suppliers. And in a short drive, to be able to be in their facility, to talk about what they need, to talk about their specifications, to have that one-on-one discussion about how to get the highest quality, and to do it because transportation costs will be decreased at one of the lowest costs. As of today, 10 other states in one region have launched a tool like this, which means we are on the forefront. We are being aggressive, and we want to be one of the most welcoming states to industry. And this, of course, is pretty welcome. It's not just we've got a great incentive package for you. We have a wonderful workforce, but we also have other Kentucky businesses that are ready to step up and to make sure that you are successful. It is crucial that we continue to provide companies in every corner of the state with the resources they need to stay connected with other Kentucky companies and build more economic momentum. And this new tool fills a critical void in that effort to ensure that this is the best place to do business. I want to thank the Kentucky Association of Manufacturers for their partnership in making the Commonwealth an excellent, I think the best state, certainly the best Commonwealth, but the best state to be a manufacturer. So now I'd like to invite a number of our guests forward. We're going to first hear from Cabinet for Economic Development Secretary Jeff Knoll. Then you'll hear from the board chair of the Kentucky Association of Manufacturing, John Mark Hack, and then Johnny Jacobs, Vice President and General Manager of Nucor Steel in Brandenburg, a massive facility that is really close to be fully online about our overall efforts when it comes to supply chain. Jeff?
Governor, thank you very much. I appreciate it. You know, Tom Peters, the business consultant, once made a statement. Great companies have to have a mission. They got to have a vision, but it's execution that matters the most. And what matters most in that execution? Having a great supply chain. And that's one of the reasons that when I first joined this great state and began working for this gentleman, his values came through. He was talking to me from day one about how do we find ways of growing within, How do we take advantage of these kinds of economic development opportunities to connect all of our companies across all 120 counties? Let's find a tool to do that. And today I'm very pleased with the partnership and the relationship with the Kentucky Association of Manufacturers, the professional entity that works with all of our companies everywhere across the great state of Kentucky. And this tool will allow us to make sure we can communicate with all of our companies across the state. We'll have workforce information on the site so that every company can know where to go to get the assistance or to plug in the ways to strengthen that workforce, because a strong workforce really helps from a logistical perspective. Growing the supply chain in Kentucky, we're going to make sure that every entity that receives benefits or incentives from our cabinet will be asked to use this tool to first look from within to see if there are suppliers that they can utilize in the state as they're opening a facility in this state. Every existing company that we work with will remind them of this great tool to find the kinds of opportunities that our great people who work every day are providing in both products and services will be on this site. This will also be an opportunity for us to go out and promote the great state of Kentucky by letting those companies that might be considering us to go on this site to look at all the various companies that are here, which we know when they do that, that'll be one of those edges that will give us over other competitive states, because they'll see the great supply chain that exists in our state. Supply Kentucky, it's a major initiative. Connect Kentucky is the tool in which we can connect people together, not only in terms of what's happening across the country, but in communicating worth, if you will, first with Kentucky opportunities and those Kentucky companies to find out the supply opportunities that exist. And last but not least, if we're finding a company that says they have a supplier that's not in Kentucky that they want to co-locate, we want to work with them both in terms of doing it on their site, which you'll hear about in just a moment, or if they need a site, we have products that are now coming forth because of the product development initiative that the governor and the legislature provided, that we can provide them sites to help bring those suppliers into the state. Bottom line, Supply Kentucky is about making sure we provide the tools, information, resources, and platform in which companies can first grow and go with other Kentucky companies. And I'm just going to tell you, it is the people of Kentucky that make great products. It's the people of Kentucky that is the reason we have so many wonderful companies located in our state. And it's the people of Kentucky that will be connected with this platform because they do everything they do every day to provide great services and build great products. And now we can connect them across the entire world, if you will. But just as importantly, we can grow from within, which I think is a major initiative. And I want to again thank the Kentucky Association of Manufacturers, because this is a beginning of so many great things that we can and will continue to do together. John?
Governor,
Sir.
thank you.
Absolutely.
Secretary Noel, thank you. I want to convey our deepest thanks for what really is an extraordinary partnership between the governor's office, the Cabinet for Economic Development, and the 260,000 Kentuckians who compete and win every single day in the global economy. And once again, we're in this together, and we're deeply thankful for that. Kentucky companies, as Governor Beshear mentioned, will, starting today, have access to a new tool that's proven to strengthen their supply chains and grow their revenue. The Connects Marketplace further strengthens the entire business ecosystem in the Commonwealth by helping companies better confront the daily task of keeping our manufacturing facilities open and operating in an optimal way. And we're glad to partner with state government in making this new platform available. We believe that manufacturers and suppliers alike will greatly benefit from it, helping these companies continue to grow, continue to expand their workforces, and continue to increase their profitability. So thank you again.
Thank you.
Thank you, Governor.
Absolutely. Thank you. Thanks for being here.
Secretary, thank you as well. On behalf of our 2,000 teammates here in the Commonwealth, just appreciate this opportunity to share a few thoughts on this key initiative for our state. Nucor is the nation's largest steel and steel products manufacturer, with the largest recycler in the nation, and a leader in sustainability. In 2022, our 31,000 teammates working safely across 300 operating locations delivered a record year on safety and profitability. Those teammates also earned on average over $100,000. And next week, will enjoy distribution of almost $1 billion in the form of profit sharing based on those results. We are proud to call the Commonwealth home, and we have invested over $4 billion in recent years. These investments include expansion of our Gallatin facility, a new tube mill, and the addition of our $1.7 billion state-of-the-art plate mill in Meade County, which when announced was the largest ever capital project for Nucor Steel, and will be the only U.S. mill and one of only a few globally able to provide at scale the steel needed to support the offshore sustainable wind market. We take great pride in being part of the Commonwealth and the careers we're able to offer to the men and women of our state. Our presence and growth in Kentucky is attributable to the positive business climate. Our state leaders have clearly recognized that manufacturing provides great careers to the men and women of the state and is critical to the overall economy. In doing so, they have demonstrated a commitment to ensuring we have the necessary workforce talent, intentional planning and support of infrastructure, and a regulatory environment centered on partnership and finding solutions, much like this key initiative. Our leaders have also recognized that the manufacturing sector is not a singular entity. It is a supply chain in the supply chain, but a robust upstream and downstream collection of entities that when combined create even greater economic growth and career opportunities. An example of this value creation would be our Brandenburg facility. The construction created up to 2,000 contractor positions. In addition to the 430 direct Nucor careers, Meade County and ultimately our state is already benefiting from the additional capital investment and careers in the form of mill service providers, maintenance contractors, and customers that will use our finished product and add value to it for end-use markets, much along the lines of this new initiative. The vision of our state leadership to support manufacturing and to recognize the value of building out the full supply chain is having a multiplier effect and will deliver value for many generations to come. We truly appreciate what our leaders are doing to make Kentucky an even better place to live, work, and do business. Thank you, Governor.
Thank you. So I think to wrap up, this new initiative is about two things. Number one, we're not satisfied with being number two nationally in economic development. But second is it's about being intentional. It's about being intentional about the challenges that face business and being a partner, especially with our manufacturing sector, on how to address it, get ahead of it. And if we will do this. And as we do this, we want to talk about how much more attractive Kentucky is. Not just a great workforce, a great place to live, but also a place you can come that we will work to address your supply chain challenges. That's got to sound pretty good to any business across the United States or the world. All right, with that, we'll open it up to questions. We just have a few journalists with us today. Y'all have any? Okay, Carolina.
I'm going to circle back to storm damage
Yes.
really quickly. Are you happy with the restoration timeline that we've had so far, given how damaging the storm actually was?
No one's happy that their power is out. And I absolutely get that. People have lost everything in their fridge and freezer. I've been there before this job. I remember back in, what was it, 08, 09, between a windstorm and an ice storm, not having power for about 3 weeks over a 365 day period. It's tough. It's emotionally tough. You know, school's been out because of it. Now, with that said, I do believe people are working really hard, and we have thousands of people that have come in. There is just that much damage. And it's kind of hard to conceptualize because it wasn't one huge tornado that went through. And when you looked at it, you would say, of course, it's going to take this amount of time. It was a very widespread storm with wind, really, much more than the thunderstorm itself that knocked down so many of these utility poles. So no, I'm not satisfied. I want everybody to have power immediately. And 3 days is tough. But I do believe a lot of people will see it getting back up today. And if I can be grateful for something, it's that we've had pretty decent weather comparatively for this time of year.
you stepping down some of the state's response. I remember you saying Saturday there were like 400 Guard members who were
Yep.
in training that were on standby in case they were needed, and also transportation and forestry and all the different people involved in that. Has that backed off some, or are there, is it the same? Are you,
Tr-
you get more?
Transportation and forestry are still hard at work. We no longer have any active Guard members on this mission. This is now really a power restoration mission. Now we got a lot of homes and buildings out there that have been damaged. We've got to get these water systems up, but again, that's more on the power side itself. So when you think about what we're really doing right now, it's providing generators, running water where it's needed. We've provided a couple of truckloads, but most of the utilities are operating at least in part, just not fully. And most of them believe that they can get the power up and back online in time. So this is going to be an event where we lost 5 people, where some people had some economic damage, but it could have been a whole lot worse. And I'm really grateful for all the meteorologists out there, everybody who was providing information, and people were really weather aware. When you look at 70-degree gusts all over Kentucky and how many lives we could have lost if more people were out on the roadway, I'm really grateful people were paying attention. All right. Thank you all very much.